Okay. Uh, so what I wanted to talk about today is about our upcoming, there's Yuri, is about the upcoming performance reviews. And let me just share some timelines with you. Let me share my screen. Okay, Chrome. Okay. So a couple of important dates here. So tomorrow, actually, is the deadline to update your individual pages. And we'll take a look at RJ's as an example. But basically, we need items for monthly deliverables for this coming month, for this month, this quarter, and yearly planning, right? And you can see RJ here has kept it short and simple to 3 points. We also need past 6-month achievements. Again, try to keep it short, try to link to resources if you can. And then, just the kind of weekly updates underneath. I've got an event in my calendar. I do this every Friday afternoon. I find that easier. Just look at my calendar and see what I did that week and I update it. But for tomorrow's deadline, if you could please take a look, you should all have this template now on your respective profiles. You could look at RJ's as an example and fill them out. So I believe, Sam, you added placeholders, right?
Yes, I did.
Here we go. So you should all have something similar to this. Please go ahead and update that today. We want to try and get this done by tomorrow. Once that's done, there's some extra steps for managers, which I'll kind of reach out to you separately. But once you do your weekly updates, Stephen's also asked that we update the respective projects that you're working on, right? So we have our launch projects, right? For each one, if you could go in, if there's an update for BTC Bridge, for example, go ahead and add your updates so to make sure this is up to date as well. Same thing with partners, right? So if you're working on any projects that involve partners, again, each one of these items will have their own respective page that you can go in and update. Okay, so that's for our individual updates. On the 26th, managers will need to do some extra steps. Again, I'll reach out to you about that. But the goal is that our peer feedback flow will start from the 22nd of next month. It'll go for a week. There'll be a template. I think some of the veterans here are already very familiar with all of this. It's the newbies that haven't seen this before. But when we get closer to those dates, I'll share the actual template with you and provide instructions on what needs to happen here. We are going to be doing peer bonuses, which is very exciting. And we're going to be using DAO tools to do this. So Sam, do you want to talk about your favorite topic?
I love these things. One thing I wanted to run in really quick before I dive into the peer bonus, the cultural role models will be based on, there is a long list of articles that hopefully you've all read and digested multiple times. But between now and the 22nd, you should have just enough time to read them. You may not have enough time to, barely. No, but they're actually really, really good. And so you can dig in, and each, there are several main kind of topics and then subtopics around how these work. And there will be a matrix that of basically 1 to 5 about how you feel about this other individual in the peer bonus and the cultural reviews. about how they do in the culture and in exemplifying that culture. On the peer bonus. So this is called Coordinape. We had a fantastic training of Coordinape about a month ago now, really, with the team from Coordinape. And what I'll need from all of you is I'm going to need all of your 0x addresses so I can put you in and add you immediately to that. We can do vouching so that we can add each other, but it'd just be easier if you send that to me. So I'll send out, I'll prepare a spreadsheet so everyone can throw in their 0x address for their crypto wallet. And then we'll all be able to go in and use this to review how everybody is doing. A quick question, how many people have seen Coordinape and how many people have not?
I use it Coordinape.
Yeah. Okay.
I also participate in other DAO. Coordinape.
So we have about a month or so, a little bit more than a month before this happens. And so maybe on one of the later all hands, when we get a little bit closer to it, I'll do a little bit of just a walkthrough so that everyone can see it. For example, I think Rosa hasn't used it or seen it before. So it's good to just have some visibility into it before you go in. But no, it's really exciting and it's a great tool.
Yep. So we will, I guess we'll provide instructions. Maybe we can do like a walkthrough in one of the all hands, Sam.
Yep.
Just so we can explain how it all works. And then 6th of December at our all hands meeting, we'll do the recognitions and promotions and all the good stuff. That's it. Any questions? Does everyone actually know where to find their this page? It's under team bio in Notion. I'll
You
share.
send out the date to the team general channel, and that'll
Yes,
be helpful.
let me put that in there.
Yeah.
So that everyone has it. Okay, I'll do it after this call. Any
Why do we still have a Nick White there?
This is going to basically replace the team bio page on our marketing website. So, Nick is a founding member and we're keeping everyone here, but obviously Nick will need to be doing the reviews.
Move Nick's page to archive or something. That's kind of.
So Steven's managing this page. I'll check with him, see what his thinking is there. But this is a public page now, and yeah, let me find out from him what his thoughts are there. But I agree. Yeah, it makes sense to hide. Okay. Any questions about the reviews?
So we are not
updates?
going to do any review for our part-time contributor.
No. This is purely for the permanent full-time staff.
Yeah, I understand. But do we have a plan to provide feedback and review for part-time worker?
We haven't talked about it, but I think it would be helpful, right? I think we should. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let me check in with Sam and Lee and see if we can add a slot for that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Good call.
And obviously, of course, Leo, anytime that if anybody is a manager of a part-time worker, you should probably be giving him feedback on a regular basis anyway. But specifically for a peer bonus sort of structure, I do think we should run that through Lee. Talk to him about it.
I'll check with him. Okay. So I don't want to go through every single item, every stand-up. I think it's quite long. This list is getting longer and it's not a good use of everyone's time. Are there any items that anyone actually wants to flag or provide any updates on that you think everyone should know about? Because obviously we can all go in and look at the latest updates. But any announcements for any of these projects that you want to share?
I think on the bridge front, we are making progress. BTC Bridge, I'm currently reviewing the contract and making some final changes before sending out for audit. And Yuri is finishing up on the clients and front end, etc. So we still plan like this week to get it ready for start sending out to partners to get them excited. And I think we're still on track for month end or first week November initial deployment.
Right.
The audit, however, might not start until end of this month, but our plan is to like have a control the TVL until the audit is finished, and then open it up. And on the Horizon, Trustless Horizon Bridge, also like we talked to audit, but we'll prioritize BTC Bridge audit first. And I'm trying to see if they can do one after the other and trying to obtain a final quotation on that. Same way, initial launch, we'll have a control TVL and then expand it out. Contracts, we did some internal audit, and there is one missing stuff that needs to be added is taking care of Ethereum reorg in the Ethereum like client that we deploy on Harmony side. So this probably need 1-2 days of work. And then on the front end and clients, Jenya is going to be, I think he'll push forward this week to get it done. So again, expecting same month end or first week November launch with the control settings, of course.
Yeah.
Initially.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Ganesh. Jack, can you give us an update on the decentralized nodes, the latest with Pocket, and now I guess we're speaking to Covalent as well, right?
I think there's some a mix of two different decentralized nodes. One is increasing the number of validator nodes to 1,000, and then the other part is with RPC. So I'll let Leo talk about the 1,000 node.
Oh, me? Okay. So for the decentralized nodes, okay. So last week I think we our release gets activated and the hard fork being on a minute, and we had a smooth hard fork. And external voting power right now is the majority, 51%, and the external node are 900 now. And I created two proposals on a forum. One is to fully externalize the voting power under the external node to 1,000 node and 100% external voting power. Another proposal is to have a allow list of the external leaders. So both proposals have been put on the forum and engaging the validator to look into and the comments in this. Right now it's like a positive feedback. So I'm gonna work on the implementation of these two features. And of course we need to have also the voting on this, but I don't expect a bigger problem. But the implementation can take some time and also do some more testing or testnet. Yeah, so the goal is still by end of the Q4, fully decentralized and with the allow list of the kernel leader. That will be the another step into the full decentralization before the resharding have a completely decentralized and the permissionless. So the allow list is kind of like a curated list of the kernel leaders.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jack, was there something else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, we'll probably create a separate liner for the RPC part. It's going to be several months running. We managed to unblock the Pocket network issues, and it's dialing up to 10% over the weekend. We're aiming for 25% this week. So that's looking pretty good. We are tracking that closely. So far, no errors, really fast response times for the new RPC instances that's spun up by Pocket. And we're talking to Covalent Networks to try to establish the contract and to start testing it, if not this week, then next week. I think they're traveling to Lisbon as well. So things may be a bit slow there. The concept will be the same, to onboard them to route our RPC traffic to their onboarded nodes and see how they perform, monitor them closely, try to not mix the two up. It's really easy to confuse one issue from another. So to separate out the noise from the smoke from the clouds or whatnot, we'll have to do this slowly and carefully. So it's going to take a bit of time. By the end of the year, we aim to move, if not over 50%, 75% of all RPC traffic to a decentralized external party.
Jack,
Right.
quick question. Covalent, besides the RPC endpoints, they're also going to provide the indexing solution that they have, right?
Right. I think somebody else was having a conversation
Yeah.
about that. So
Yeah,
I need to
I've
catch
been
up with
having a
that.
conversation with Covalent about the indexing. So that's slightly, we actually have 3 initiatives with Covalent, the RPCs, the indexing, and we're doing some work with the Alchemist DAO as well around, which is kind of a subset of Covalent, around identity and providing that. No real updates on those, just the fact that we've had those conversations and we're kicking them off.
Yeah, the indexing would be really cool if we can get it done and get input from the developer community on what sorts of frequent calls that we use that could use it, benefits from indexing. Yep, that's all I have.
Thanks, guys.
One more question. Sorry. So for the covalent indexing, what the data they provide? So in which kind of API?
That's what we have to get into, Leo. If you want, I can bring you in the calls. We've literally had one conversation with them saying, hey, this could be very useful for a bunch of different reasons. And that's about as far as we've gotten so far. So it would be great to have kind of your input as far as, what's the API? What are we looking for? What is it that we specifically want out of it?
Okay.
So like I said, early days.
Yeah. Okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
If we build with the end in mind, like, are we building this for a dashboard, like seeing the number of wallets grow or whatnot? If we build with the end user in mind, then we can work backwards to the index part. So we can talk.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of what kind of started the whole conversation. The idea that I had when I was talking with the people at Covalent when we were at MCon was that we wanted to create a dashboard for DAOs where you could see all of the DAOs you participated in across all the different chains, right? And so it wasn't just Harmony specific, it would be Harmony plus everybody else that Covalent was working with, a cross-chain index of sorts. That's where it began. And so now we just have to figure out what other layers we want to add to it.
Yeah, and maybe just, I think one more thing is that on the indexing side, it's anything which right now we're trying to depend on subgraphs for. So event log data, contract data, ownership of any asset, or all of the analytics that you would like to do with all the on-chain data available. Covalent is trying to add, their querying logic to cover as much smart contract data as possible for developers, for applications. So almost like a sushi swap analytics board can be built using Covalent's indexers. Hopefully down the line, it should be something around NFTs as well. I don't think they're as rich as subgraphs are right now because subgraphs are more distributed. Any developer can create a subgraph, right? But I think they're trying to build a similar offering over time.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, so my other concern is that we also build our own indexer for our Explorer. And so what do we expect? We rebuild it or externalize that so we don't have to build our own Explorer? because if a covalent provide, I mean, that could be a longer term goal. I think that's something like we can
Yeah, let's take
think
that
about.
offline then.
Yeah, okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Sam, do you want to give us an update on latest and greatest with DAOs, all the elections, all the good stuff happening?
Yeah. So number one is the Incubator DAO election is up. Giv, do you want to pass me the? Let's see. Do you want to continue? I'm going to stop your screen share.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me pull up the right. So this guy, share. All right, now you should be seeing snapshot, right?
No, we see a desktop.
You see my whole desktop? Okay, hang on. Maybe I grabbed the wrong screen.
We saw your
Try that
screenshot.
again.
The desktop is too messy.
It is very messy. I have all those screenshots because I was writing the newsletter a couple of nights ago. Anyway, so now you should see the Incubator DAO snapshot. So this went live midnight last night, and so the incubator is up. So everyone can go in there and vote to, however they want to vote. You don't have to vote for yes. Although if you don't vote yes, then I'm going to come and beat you silly. This one, we're running it a little bit differently than the other DAOs. We're actually establishing all 9 of the Incubator DAO initial governor councils first, with some advisory council members who are brought in as well. And we're asking for basically the support, saying, yes, you support the formation of the Incubator DAO as constituted. We have our 3 mandates and we have 3 deliverables over the course of the next 3 months. There's a very specific reason for that. When it comes to the Incubator DAO, this is a little bit, when we're working with the validator DAOs, basically any validator could come in. When we're working with the community DAOs, any community members, and with developers, this one is very specifically around, we need the skill sets opening day of, let's put together stuff that will help us get adoption on the projects, help us get these projects connected to the talent that they need, both creative and technical. Let's help these people get launched and connected to investors and investor frameworks, and possibly us as well, depending if they fit into our model. That hasn't been confirmed one way or the other. But these 9 women are all fantastic from many different places in that spectrum. We have a couple of people who have actually been running accelerators before. We have a couple of people who are venture capitalists. Sophia Zhao runs the blockchain fund at the Alumni Ventures Group, AVG. There are a few people in there that are startup or founders. So we know for sure that, look, they know what pain these projects go through. So this is it's a good list of people. And I've been working with them for, 6 weeks, 2 months now, to get this to happen. So, and hard-coded in this proposal is the fact that they have 3 months. It ends January 21st. They have very clear deliverables that they're supposed to do, get that network of curated investors up and running, get a toolkit for launching projects, best practices, so that if anyone's interested in launching, they can go there and it'll help them. And also, they're going to launch a portal that has an onboarding process and documentation for this particular DAO. One of the things that we've seen across the board is, how do you join a DAO and how do you actually operate inside of a DAO? And there are some very interesting best practices that are emerging from that to make sure that you have the right group of the right mindset, really, when you come in, about how that's going to work. And so the Incubator DAO is really going to help that and push that forward. There are many, many other things that we're working on as well, but those are 3 things that we know we can get done in the next 3 months. So this is on Snapshot, right there. It's an egg because it's an incubator. Huh? Yeah, no?
Sam, Rosa has a question.
Oh, fire away, Rosa. Oh, let me look at my chat.
I wanted to ask you something because I love this idea of the Incubator DAO. I used to work on a accelerator and all that. And I wanted to know if it's a regular DAO or is going to have more funding. Because I think that at some point they are going to need extra, it's not a regular DAO to me. It can becomes like super interesting because it has a like multiplier effect. Many good things come from there. But in order to flourish, they're going to need extra funding. So how can we maybe from the DAO fund this and another grant from the VC side or something? I don't know how it's going to work.
That's a good question. A couple of things that I would mention really quickly. Number one, to the point of these people knowing what they're doing, this is the first DAO that actually went through the numbers of their burn rate on paying salaries to their 9 governors based on the assumptions. And they realized that $50,000 would not cover the first 3 months of just the governor's salaries. If all the governors were working 10 hours a week at $75 an hour, these are the first guys who actually did the math. Like, wait, no, that's 81,000, which I wasn't surprised about. Well, I was surprised that nobody did it before. Like I did that right at the beginning, but I was like, but nobody else had brought that up. Anyway, so yes, they do have a budget of $1 million. We're normally starting all of these DAOs off at $50,000 just because like they need to get their feet underneath them before we drop a huge pile of money on their heads so they don't just collapse underneath that. So they will have a little bit more funds. Whether or not they will be using funds for investments, that's a question that we still need to determine. There is a long list of liabilities and considerations and questions we need to ask around whether or not or if we as Harmony want to invest specifically in these people or in these companies, right? Do we take equity? So there's a bunch of questions. So that's TBD. But as far as operational goes, I think having $1 million in the short term is plenty. But so yes and no, I guess is the answer to that question, Rosa. So yeah. Any other questions quickly on the incubator DAO?
So I have a question. So there are a few external investments fund talked to me and the team before. So they would explore some of the opportunity to have Harmony as part of the fund, also do some provide like the other fund already, right? So they're already running corporation. So they want to collaborate with Harmony so that they can also invest into the Harmony ecosystem project. But they ask the Harmony to be part of like a LP or something. So how that would be covered in our current DAO structure?
So the DAO structure, it may not go through that way. We still have to work that out. We know that from investments in the 300 mil grant, there is a section on investments. The one thing that we note is that we are not going to be the lead investor on things. We don't have the bandwidth to do that. But the other, but if these investment funds just want to get exposure to the projects on Harmony, the incubator DAO is a great way because they're going to be running effectively demo days every quarter, right? Where they're going to be bringing on these organizations, these projects that have enough traction, that have enough interest and need financing, external financing to push them to the next level. And so they'll be hosting those. And that's a great place for those investors going. The places where they want us to be a co-investor, that is a larger conversation. We're not necessarily opposed to it. I don't think it's going to go through the route of the incubator DAO, but it could. Like I said, there's still many conversations to have. Stephen has specific opinions. Lee has specific opinions. Our attorneys have specific opinions. Sahil has specific opinions, but we're not going to listen to Sahil anymore, right, Sahil?
So what are you talking about? We should get Sahil's advice.
That's actually, I actually was about to throw it to Sahil and say, you know, you've been around this block several times. What are your thoughts on Harmony investing?
I think so. A quick one is that we have to experiment with all these routes. You know, there's some things that we have to do, maybe probably more hands-on, where there are opportunities directly where we can engage with teams and, you know, take the liberty of investing because they're already committed to the Harmony ecosystem. And we do get some inbound opportunities like these. I've seen Solana ecosystem is doing a lot of that. And then over time, you also want to do DAOs. Your incubator DAO people, probably Sam, should be over the next 3 to 6 months, have the closest kind of view of who are the amazing developers, which verticals, whether it's cross-chain NFTs or gaming, are growing, and how do we attract people on Harmony and fund them, and even ask for more funds down the line. Who knows, these incubator DAOs could become these micro VCs for an ecosystem. So I think I am open-minded. I don't think these structures have become kind of, they're still in experimental mode. But we should not close our minds. Of course, we obviously can't take the ownership ourselves to invest and find every single potential opportunity. We don't have that ability. But I think we need to do a little bit of both. Empower these communities and also look for the A-listers right now, at least, because that we have to chase ourselves. Like if Lee and Steven find 5 great teams in Lisbon, in New York, we should not think twice. We should invest in them. At the same time, the incubator DAO also carry forward. So there's nothing right or wrong, but I think we'll figure it out.
Right. And my vision of the incubator DAO is this is a place where this really is a launch pad, right? So, 2 of their main objectives, number 1 is to get these projects traction. And that means whatever it looks like, right? So is that total value locked? Is that number of users on the platform? Whatever it is, which justifies them having traction, these people will help them do it. The other thing is getting them connections. How many times have we been sitting in a room with somebody who says, I have an idea, but I don't know anybody to code? Or I have a brilliant technical idea, but I can't write a pitch deck or go in front of a camera to save my life. And so I need a creative or a front man to be able to do it. This incubator DAO will help them accomplish that. The other thing that the incubator DAO has done is I actually went out recruiting to find people who have done consulting on tokenomics, so that they can help these programs as they get launched to really understand what they're dealing with when they talk about tokenomics. What's your burn rate? What's your lockup period? What are all the best practices? What are the important pieces that you need to think about when you launch a token of some sort? And so this is just going to be a great place that we can push the projects into to get them those technical questions answered. When it comes to investment, to Sahil's point, it's not ossified, it's not set in stone. We can do anything we want to do, but we just don't want to get swallowed in that quagmire of fiduciary duties and follow-ups and doing due diligence and all of the various different things, because we have our own projects to work on. So that's what I'd say.
If I just, Sam, absolutely agree with you. I think just how I see the future of even VC evolve, like up until like between the 19, and this is, I'm obviously, thinking at a, 10,000 foot clouds level, and we'll see what it means for us today. But between the 1970s and 2000, Silicon Valley, semiconductor, and then PC started to happen. VCs were supposed to be just investors of capital, right? And you stay away. And then in early to mid 2000s, Andreessen Horowitz came in and say, we're going to be a platform VC. We're going to come and help you build your company, not just give you money. And helping build your companies, we'll help you recruit, we'll help you find the how to sell to enterprise, we'll get you the connections, etc. Right? And I think why I'm bringing this analogy is because today, crypto building ecosystems is not just about throwing money. Any of these teams can actually go to any of these ecosystems and raise money. Polygon, Avalanche, and Solana, they have more money, if not the same, right? As compared to us. So for someone like an incubator DAO, we need to have these people think from a platform. Hey, how do we become a platform to support startups or developers? Because guess what? We might have fantastic developers coming from the hackathon, but they don't know how to do token economics. They don't know how to do airdrops like Olympus DAO, or think about these Ponzi-nomics, or think about where do I get my first 10,000 users from? But can I find these people who could be a part of the community, whether it's, partners or, people who've done this before, and how can these guys be the offering for any developer on Harmony? And I think Incubator DAO can have that mandate. How do we become a platform ecosystem developer versus, hey, we have a $300 million fund and let's just spend money, right? And this role Harmony can't play, because that we're still building the platform and we're going to fund and fuel the ecosystem. But the Incubator DAO is probably the first, body or organization or organism to kind of be that platform support for developers in Web3. So I think that's very interesting. No one has figured it out. If you look at Avalanche, Solana, Algorand, their ecosystem funds are just throwing money. But can this Incubator DAO think about becoming a platform, a supporting platform for enabling, developers in Harmony? So I think it's easy said than done, but that's the thinking process that we should have.
Easier said than done. You're not joking. This is like organizing these DAOs have been, it's like, have you ever taken wet spaghetti and tried to build a house out of it? Because that's kind of what I'm doing. So the
Sam, so I think
fire away.
I would have some other opinion on this. So our Incubator DAO is I'm more thinking from the funding perspective, right? So our Incubator DAO, they get the fund from Harmony. If they get the fund from Harmony only, compared to like we work with external fund. So the fund, they get an LP from Harmony, and also they have their own like LP. So that will be quite a difference with it, right? So if the fund, they also have to reward their LP, and they have their own money and the GP as well. So that will create a different ownership and support. Other than the just Incubator DAO, we engage those fantastic people, but that's only Harmony money. So they don't have a huge accountable about the performance of the startup project on Harmony. So that's something we have to keep in mind. It will be different in terms of the ownership, in terms of the responsibility. If you engage external fund and we co-invest from Harmony and the external fund, that's something like we have to keep in mind. That's why I feel like to introduce external fund into the Harmony Incubator or other different DAO, will be something like will have different value and with a different network and the resources.
As it is currently constituted and designed, the Incubator DAO is not an investment fund. It's not designed to be making investments. It's designed to be kind of a platform to help other people, right? That does not say that down the road it cannot become an investment fund, but right now they need to get their structures in place. So the Incubator DAO, number one, not investment fund, can become an investment fund. But number two, we can always set up an actual investment fund DAO. But the things that we'll want to think about is going to be slightly different than the way we're currently organizing it, because right now, assets that this DAO has in common, information, tokens, interest, right? Not a whole lot of equity or stock being put in there. And so when we decide to do something more around an investment fund, then we actually have to start thinking about, okay, how do we want to protect the equity? All of that, all of those components of what you see in many other investment funds, investment DAO funds, right? There's a deeper layer to play there. Not saying that Incubator DAO can't be that. I'm just saying it's not that right now. So
okay, I see. So the current Incubator DAO is more like a advisory board. So they provide the mentorship and some help for the startup founder, right? Yeah. So it's not really about investment. So that, I mean, I would thinking about Incubator more about investment plus advisory, right? But right now we're thinking about only the advisory only. Okay.
Right. Okay. The one other thing before I let you guys go, you may already know this, but the Validator DAO has had their election as well. So we have 9. I'm looking through the list right now. I think we have 9 brand new validators running the Validator DAO. Let's see, where's my screen share? So there you go. They all were elected. Mephaz, One for All, Farmony, Abraham, Symphony One, Stake Redo, Hank the Crank, Brother One, and Titus are your new validator DAO governors. There's one thing that we are trying to manage with the validator DAO versus Harmony improvement protocols messages. And I'd like to be able to get your guys' opinion on this. When it comes to validator DAO votes, they normally should be taking place on the validator DAO snapshot. When it comes to changes to the protocol, I believe those need to be those votes need to be taken on the mainnet, Harmony mainnet snapshot, right? And on the Harmony mainnet snapshot, those votes are based on stake weight. Is that accurate? So it's not one validator, one vote, but it's like your stake weight carries the vote.
In terms of the network, yeah, it's like a stake weighted. In terms of the validator DAO itself, election is like a one validator, one vote.
Right, and that's one of the things that there was some confusion over. So in here, in our Harmony One mainnet, we have this HIP 12, which was trying to change the stake weight to one voter, one validator, one vote. And so it did not pass, which I'm happy to see because I think it needs to be stake weight. But then the thing is that there was another vote that the validator DAO put up in here, which had to do with a few, like the HIP 9 and HIP 15. I don't know if those are network related. Institute for last out, first in, redelegations for staking. That could be, I don't know. The validator governor participation indicator is more something that would be posted on staking.harmony.1. Leo, RJ, have you guys looked at either of these? Is this the right location for them, or do they need to be pulled over to the mainnet snapshot?
I feel like the HIP9 should be in the mainnet.
Okay.
It's kind of mixed up. All the
and that's
proposal to change the protocol should be in the mainnet, though, I think.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Mindstyle actually went publicly on Twitter and said this is the wrong spot. And so we're not voting. POPS is not voting on this at all because it was done improperly. And then he got in a little bit of tussle with EasyNode and a couple of others online. But I just needed to verify that they actually, validator DAO did do that incorrectly. That should have been on the mainnet. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any questions about the DAOs? I know I don't want to dig into any more, but I just wanted to, I want you guys to have a chance for breakouts. But since we have such a small group.
Yeah, we can probably take the rest offline. Any other announcements? Any questions? Wolf, anything from you?
One more thing. So we have a event, a gathering at Friday night. So Sam is asking out on the detail of the venue right now.
Yeah.
So it's we have a remote session with the Shanghai event. So it's a Friday night. I think it's like 6 p.m. right? So I hope all the Harmony team, if you have time, would be able to join us. And RJ, you have given a keynote speech. Don't forget. And then we all invited Z and another NFT friend. So this is about NFT and the metaverse, right? So also we can talk about GameFi. Yeah, that's about it. And yeah, I think we're gonna do some promotion this week and also invite people there.
Yeah, we ran into a bit of a snag on Saturday because the venue that we had lined up lost 2 of their staff. That's all they said. Like we are down 2 staff, and so they don't have the staff to be able to cover us on Friday night, and so we're scrambling to find a new venue. Worst case scenario is we'll set it up at the at InnoSpring. Like we'll set up some big TVs and stuff in there. That's absolutely worst case scenario. But there are a variety of places that I've reached out to that hopefully we'll get a good one. My guess is we'll all end up at Sahil's house. That's the plan.
Always, guys. There's always an after party at my house.
All right, guys, we have just 12 minutes left. Anything else from anyone? Wolf, did you have any updates from the community? Any announcements, events?
Nothing major.
Okay.
Just lots and lots of AMAs and introducing of new projects in the community, which people are really enjoying, to be honest. So long may it continue. I think they're more thrilled that we've got so many happening. So it's like, I think there's like 4 this week. We've done one Sunday. I'm struggling to fit them all in. So I'm literally like any day of the week now is good for an AMA, and let's go with it. But yeah, people are really loving it, really enjoying it. And it's given them all something to keep coming back for. So,
sure.
they're here today, they're here tomorrow. So it's great. So.
Yeah, almost every project that we speak to now wants to do an AMA. So I think we need to probably streamline that process to make your life easier.
No, that's fine. I'm good. I'm happy doing it. So
all right.
And they love it. They're I think they feel quite privileged that they get to stand in front of everybody and promote their project, and it's great for them. It's good advertising, and it's good all round for everyone. We get a lot of crossover from other communities that way. We're seeing some really good growth on the numbers on people joining the channel as well. So yeah, really good.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'm going to send you off to your breakout rooms. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.